There is a moment, and you may have already experienced it without fully understanding what it was, where someone looks at you and you feel it somewhere beneath your skin. Not on the surface, not in the obvious places where attention usually lands, but somewhere deeper, somewhere quieter. Like a hand pressing gently against the inside of your chest, not from the outside, but from within. You didn't ask for it. You didn't expect it. And yet, in that single, suspended moment, something inside you recognized what was happening before your mind could form the words. Something old in you, something that has been waiting for a very long time, exhaled. That feeling, that specific, unrepeatable feeling, is what brought you here today. Because you've been trying to understand something you can sense but cannot fully name. Something about the way this person exists around you that doesn't quite fit inside the ordinary language of love or attraction or connection. It's more than that. It has always been more than that. And deep down, in the place where you are most honest with yourself, you already know it. You just need someone to confirm what your soul has been quietly whispering to you for weeks, maybe months, maybe longer than you're willing to admit out loud. What you are about to hear is not simply about romance. It is not about chemistry or compatibility or the surface-level electricity that most people mistake for depth. What you are about to hear is about something far rarer, far more sacred. It is about the specific, unmistakable evidence that someone has looked past everything you perform for the world, past your accomplishments, past your appearance, past the version of yourself you carefully curate for public consumption, and has somehow, impossibly, found their way to the real you. The you that exists before you put on your armor in the morning. The you that surfaces only in the privacy of your own thoughts. The you that you have spent years, perhaps decades, learning to protect. This person has found that version of you, and the proof is already there, woven into the fabric of how they treat you, how they speak to you, how they simply are in your presence. You may have noticed it in fragments. You may have dismissed some of it as coincidence, or projection, or wishful thinking. But it is not wishful thinking. It is something real. And by the time this ends, you will see it clearly. Not as hope, but as truth. Let's begin at the beginning. Think about the very first time you felt truly seen by this person. Not complimented, not desired, seen. There is an enormous difference between someone wanting you and someone seeing you. And most people spend their entire lives confusing one for the other. Wanting is easy. Wanting is about the surface, the way you look, the way you move, the version of you that exists in their imagination. But seeing, real seeing, requires something far more intentional. It requires someone to be still enough, present enough, and courageous enough to look past what's comfortable and witness what's real. When this person sees you, you feel it as a particular kind of quiet. The noise in your head slows down. The performance you're constantly running, the subtle, exhausting performance of being who you think people need you to be, softens. You breathe differently around them, slower, deeper, like your nervous system recognizes something your conscious mind is still catching up to. That is not an accident. That is not coincidence. That is your body responding to the energetic reality of being genuinely, fully received. The universe showed me that this kind of recognition between two people is not random. It does not happen simply because two people find each other attractive or interesting, or even deeply compatible in the ordinary sense. It happens when two souls operate on the same frequency, when they vibrate at a resonance that allows them to hear things about each other that the rest of the world walks past without noticing. And what this person hears in you, what they have always heard in you, is the truth of who you are. Not who you're trying to be, not who you used to be, who you actually are, right now, in all your beautiful contradiction and complexity. And here is where the first layer of proof lives. Think about how this person responds to you when you are not at your best, when you are tired or irritable, or when the version of yourself that you usually keep carefully managed starts to slip through the cracks. Most people, when they are drawn to someone's surface, grow uncomfortable in these moments. They pull back, subtly or not so subtly, because the reality of you is interrupting the image of you that they've been holding on to. But this person does not pull back. This person leans in. Not with solutions or advice or an urgency to fix what's broken. With presence. With a particular quality of stillness that communicates something words could never fully carry. That they are not going anywhere. That they see the difficult parts of you and remain. That their being here is not conditional on you being easy. That is not something a person does when they are only connected to your body. That is something a person does when they are connected to your soul. If this resonates, I want you to take a breath right now, a real one. Because what you're feeling is recognition. And recognition can sometimes feel overwhelming when you have spent a long time not being seen. Now, let's go deeper. There is a specific kind of conversation that exists between two people whose connection lives at the level of the soul. You know the conversations I'm talking about. The ones that begin about something ordinary, something mundane, something that would barely register in any other context, and then, almost without your awareness, descend into something profound, something honest. Something that leaves you feeling simultaneously more exposed and more safe than you have felt in a very long time. The ones where you find yourself saying things you have never said out loud before. Where a thought you have carried quietly inside yourself for years suddenly finds its way into language because this person's presence somehow makes it feel possible to be that honest. You don't plan these conversations. They happen to you. And they happen because this person has created something in the relational space between you, a kind of atmosphere where truth becomes easier than performance, where the effort of pretending costs more than the vulnerability of being real. Pay attention to that. Pay very close attention to that. You give you to remain something. But soul love, real soul love, is not something you can manage. It arrives regardless of what you do. It persists through the moments when you are least lovable. It does not require your performance. And for someone who has learned to survive through performance, who has built their emotional safety on the idea that love is something you earn, rather than something you simply are. That kind of love can feel almost more frightening than being unloved. You may have noticed this in yourself, a strange impulse to push back sometimes, to test the connection, or to create small amounts of distance, not because you don't want them close, but because their closeness reaches places inside you that have not been touched in a very long time. Places that are tender. Places that carry old grief, old disappointment, old evidence from other people in other seasons of your life that being fully seen is not safe. But this person is not those people, and this connection is not those connections. The soul knows the difference, even when the mind is still catching up, even when the patterns of the past are still running their old protective programs, even when the most frightened part of you is whispering that this is too much, that you should be careful, that love like this doesn't really exist. It does. And you are living inside the evidence of it right now. Let me tell you what the universe showed me about connections like this one, about the specific, almost otherworldly quality of two souls that have found each other in a particular season of their evolution. There is a concept, ancient, and recognized across traditions and philosophies that have nothing to do with each other, that certain souls travel through lifetimes in proximity. That the deep, immediate recognition you feel with certain people, that inexplicable sense of already knowing someone, is not imagination. It is memory. It is the particular frequency of a connection that has existed before the particular forms you currently occupy. When this person makes you feel at home, in a way that doesn't quite make rational sense given how much time you've actually spent together, that is the evidence. That is the soul remembering what the mind has no framework for. You are not imagining the depth of this. You are not projecting. You are not making it more than it is. If anything, you are still making it less than it is, because what is actually happening between you and this person is operating on a level that your current language and understanding can only approximate. It is real. It is significant. And it is asking something of you. It is asking you to stop minimizing it, to stop telling yourself that you're reading too much into things, to stop letting the part of you that has been hurt before convince you that something this good must be a mistake. To stop waiting for the proof when you are already standing inside it, breathing it in every time this person exists near you. If this is speaking to something real in your life right now, type the word "seen" in the comments, because that is what you are. That is what you have always been. And this person is the living proof of it. Now, and this is where we move towards something important. This kind of connection carries with it a responsibility that belongs to you. Because being loved at the level of the soul is a mirror, not just a gift. It reflects back to you everything you are, including the parts you have been reluctant to fully claim, including the depths of your own sensitivity, your own intelligence, your own capacity for this quality of love. This person's ability to see you is not separate from your own ability to be seen. It requires you to be open in a way that takes courage. It requires you to trust in a way that feels dangerous. It requires you to receive, genuinely receive, which for many people is the hardest thing of all. You are allowed to receive this. You are allowed to let it be real. You are allowed to stop scanning for the catch, for the moment when it reveals itself to be less than what it appears to be. Because some things are exactly what they appear to be. Some connections are exactly as deep as they feel. And this is one of them. The proof has never been in the grand declarations. The proof has always been in the ordinary, consistent, quiet ways this person has shown up for who you actually are. In the conversations that went somewhere neither of you expected. In the moments when you were not performing and they were not pretending. In the silence between you that feels like rest rather than awkwardness. in the way they make space for your full reality, your light and your shadow, your ease and your difficulty, your openness and your walls. In the fact that you are here today, thinking about them, feeling this, asking these questions, because something in you recognizes that what is happening between you is worth examining with this kind of care. Soul love is not always loud. It is not always what the movies told you to look for. It does not always arrive with sweeping gestures and perfect timing. Sometimes it arrives quietly. Sometimes it settles in before you even realize it's there. Sometimes you look up one day and understand that this person has been loving the most real part of you for longer than you noticed, because you were too busy watching for the surface level signs to see the deeper evidence. But now you see it. And seeing it changes something. Not because it gives you something new, but because it allows you to acknowledge something that was already true. It allows you to stop holding your breath. It allows you to exhale into the reality of being someone who is loved. Not for the performance, not for the surface, not for the curated and carefully managed presentation, but for the soul underneath all of it. The soul that you arrived in this world with. The soul that has survived everything. The soul that, regardless of how many times life has asked you to hide it, has never actually gone anywhere. That soul is loved. Fully. Specifically. Deeply. By this person who found their way to it through all the layers you built to keep it safe. Let that land. Sit with it. Don't move past it too quickly. This is the kind of truth that deserves to be felt completely before it is processed intellectually. Feel the weight of it. Feel the warmth of it. Feel the way it settles something in you that has been unsettled for a very long time. You came here today with a question, and the answer has always been yes. Yes, this is real. Yes, this is deep. Yes, what you feel is being matched. Yes, you are seen. Yes, you are loved. Not in spite of your complexity, but because of it. Not despite your depth, but at the level of it. And perhaps the most important thing I can leave you with today is this. The fact that you can recognize soul love, the fact that you can feel it and sense it and search for its proof, that is not a small thing. That is the evidence that you too carry this quality, that you too are capable of this depth. You cannot recognize in another what does not also exist in you. The frequency you hear in this person is also the frequency you carry. You are not a witness to something foreign. You are a participant in something that belongs to you as much as it belongs to them. You are not just loved at the level of the soul. You are someone who loves that way. And that is the rarest, most beautiful proof of all.